Welcome to Shaman Man, a channel for spiritual growth and personal development. We hope you find this video helpful, and if you do, please like, subscribe, and leave us a comment letting us know what you think. We're glad you're here. Be well.
Hey everyone, it's David with Shaman Man. This is a channel for spiritual growth and personal development. For many of us, this is a time where we're figuring out how do we let go of the past. Typically it's negative, something occurred, an event, and we're trying to figure out, well, how do we remove this? How do we dispel it? As we progress, you don't want to carry problems with you like rocks in your pocket right as you go forward. So I wanted to touch on that a little bit and give you some ideas and to view things maybe in just a few ways. So one, when you're thinking about things that have bothered you, when you think about something that kind of troubles you from the past, there are three types of circumstances. There is what you can control, in other words, how you respond. There is how the other person responds, and then there's just plain circumstance, like you're an actor in a play, a supporting actor, and it really wasn't about you. Even though you might have been personally affected, it really wasn't about you and your lesson. It was really about a lesson for somebody else, and you happen to be a supporting actor. So there's three things going on there, right? Stuff for you that you can control, the other cat, and then just circumstance. So let's touch on those briefly, and let's see if we can't help you to remove some of this stuff. Now, you want to dispel it. You don't want to carry it forward. So if you have an issue that is troubling you that occurred sometime back then, I want you to divvy it out. I want you to divide it into those three segments. How much of that issue belongs to you? So put that over here. And then in looking at that event, I want you to figure out how much belongs to the other person. So let's take an argument, a fight that's still stuck with you for this period of time. So you both were heated, and they did this, then you did that, and then they did this. In a perfect you, no matter what they would have done, you would have stayed you, right? You would not have responded back in a negative way, let's say. So you own that little part, right? But then this guy owns his part. So unfortunately, when we carry stuff with us, we wind up taking it all and just doing a lot of this, pointing at everything else, not accepting the little part that we played in that, or we take it all and we assume it all. So rarely do we divide it out and say, hey, wait a minute, which part of this is really my responsibility? So your responsibility is how you responded. The third thing is how much of this was just circumstance, was you being in a certain place at a certain time, and you were more of a supporting actor, supporting cast, and it really wasn't your issue at all, but you turned it into your issue, right? So for example, me and Pancake are walking in the street, a car hits us, and it does cause us personal pain, issues, we have to do something to fix ourselves, blah, blah, blah. But it was random. Nobody intentionally hit us with the car. We were just part of an accident. So the lesson was really for the person maybe driving the car, or whatever, not so much for us. But then we internalize that and then want to blame and say, instead of just understanding that the universe needed me and Pancake for whatever reason to be in that spot at that time to help, maybe based on maybe how we handled the situation in a positive way, even though it was a really negative event, that it helped to teach this other person a lesson. Whether they got it today or at some point in the future, we were used in that way. So, but a lot of times we carry that on too, and we say, oh, that was ours, or maybe this was a bigger message for us. And maybe it was, but sometimes it's not. And so it's hard for us to get our mind around that because we're here, we live here, this is us, and we think that everything is about us. Sometimes we're just needed as supporting cast. I find those to be the hardest to let go of because those are the hardest to understand. Why me? Why did I have to be that guy? Blah, 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 right? Well, and then it becomes a lesson for you after the fact, right? I think as we grow and as you start to change yourself, it's really important to recognize that you have the means to let go of all of this stuff that doesn't serve you anymore. People say that all the time, it doesn't serve you. Well, what I think it does is help to define you. So when you change the definition of who and what you are, those things, those terms, those events in the past that you used to define yourself are no longer applicable. I mean, they don't fit with the new you anymore, the middle or the new you, right? So it's really important that you're able to dispel them, not stick them away in a little box, stick it on the shelf back here, and on occasion you go touch into that when you're feeling crummy. I'm talking about truly dispelling it. Dispelling it means when you think of that event or somebody else brings it up or whatever, however it comes into your presence, you're not emotionally charged. There is no charge to it, positive or negative. It is just information. It is just, like a sentence that you're just reading out of the paper. You know what I mean? It becomes like that. And that's really our goal when it relates to dispelling past issues. It's so critical for your now growth. It's so critical for who you want to be that you no longer live by past terms, past definitions, past events. And this is the time for it. And so we've all been working towards this, but I know this is part of the most difficult part, because sometimes it's comfortable to remain in pain or to remember those pains because it's something you know, and you're unclear as to what you would replace that with, and sometimes that's fearful too, right? So I think the biggest thing is that just remember, you have the ability and the power to determine who you want to be now. And so instead of worrying about a lot of distance, just worry about today. And if something comes up for you today that was in the past, divide it out, own the part that belongs to you, and when you address that, face that, you'll be able to dispel it. It's worked for me, and I know it can help you too. Be well.